Okay, so then I do declare a quorum, Dr. Science.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any public comments, Dr. Science?
We do not have public comments.
Okay, so then moving on to the next item under 8, Business and Finance, approval of resolution requesting Governor Abbott to include public school district personnel in the official expert vaccine allotment panels, definition of the frontline workers.
So move.
I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Doc, can you give us a little bit of the outline, if you can, both in English and Spanish for our employees? I know they're all watching and interested on what this actually means for our employees.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. As you all know, the Texas Commissioner of Education and the Texas Education Agency have prescribed guidelines that public school districts need to make available face-to-face instruction for students that request it, and that school districts continue to aggressively phase in live instruction for all those students. Our board and our administration are complying with this advice and directive by federal and state laws. School district personnel are essential to the day-to-day operations of a district, and they are critical for the resumption of face-to-face instruction. Mr. Ruben Cortez, Jr., District 2 member of the State Board of Education, recently requested that the governor I recognize that school district employees be defined as frontline workers for the purposes of the vaccine allocation, and the board wishes to join Mr. Cortez in this effort. So this resolution, we would be asking Governor Abbott and the expert vaccine allocation panel to ensure that all public school district personnel be designated frontline workers, and that as essential frontline workers, that they be given appropriate priority in the statewide administration of the COVID-19 vaccine as it becomes available. So that's what this resolution is asking.
Mr. Salinas, I'd like to see if Mr. Cortez would like to share some of his words. I know I'm appreciative and grateful because he has initiated this resolution and everybody has followed through. So Mr. Cortez, you'd like to express some words to us in our community?
Yes, SB, thank you. Mr. President, thank you for giving me a couple moments to address you and your board. Dr. Science, thank you for the short notice invitation. I'm glad I was able to join you guys. But you know, as Dr. Science was reading out some of the paragraphs of the resolution there, you know, I think it's important that we understand that public school employees are clearly frontline workers. You know, many of them were empowered to transition into virtual. Many have been face-to-face with students, parents, and teachers since the summer, right? A lot of our employees had no say in the matter, and yet these community heroes have faithfully staffed our schools across the state, even as COVID-19 numbers are on the rise within our school system. As of November 15th, there were over 32,000 students that have confirmed positives. And as of November 15th, there were about 20,000 public school employees that had tested positive. If you ask the county health authority for Hidalgo County, he'll tell you that there's a 7x factor for that. So imagine that 20,000 employees times 7. And those are other employees that are out there that probably haven't taken the test and tested positive. And so when the expert vaccine allotment panel, you know, went through this process of outlining who gets the vaccine in the first wave, second wave, and so on until the general public gets it. I think public school employees landed somewhere in the fourth or fifth wave. And Mr. President, members of the board, I think for me, that's unacceptable. I think everybody in the national media and in the state news talk about how we need to reopen our economy. Well, if we're going to reopen our economy safely, then we need to prioritize those public school employees and give them the option to take this vaccine if they choose, so that we can have a safe reopening of our schools. And so that's what this resolution is intended to do, is to have power in numbers. And the more of us that send this message to the governor, the greater our chances of it getting approved. It's being taken up by school districts in the San Antonio area today. It's being taken up by the Houston School District, I believe, Thursday night. But school districts all across the state are going to be taking it up. The Texas Association of School Boards last week, Wednesday, sent it out to every school board president and every superintendent in the state, urging them to take up the resolution as well, and urging you guys as a board member and as a president to send it along with a letter to every legislator in the boundaries of your school system. So whomever your state rep and your state senator and the governor, with a letter signed by either your superintendent or the board chair, asking them to consider this action. As you know, the vaccines were rolled off the Pfizer lot just this morning, and they're en route to places like Texas and all across the country. And so we just want to make sure that public school employees, all of them, are included in the first phase after all of our healthcare workers and our elderly and vulnerable populations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cortez. And definitely we will be, I think Dr. Science, we just needed the approval from the entire board, and we'll be moving strong forward, and hopefully together we can get it, all our employees on our first phase. And of course, trying to bring down the numbers of people with the cases and those that are really sick and those that have passed on. So thank you so much for everything that you do and for everything. I don't know if any other board member has any other questions for Mr. Cortez.
Well, I want to thank you all for your leadership in taking up this issue. It's important, and it shows that you guys are concerned about the faculty and the staff at the La Jolla School District. And so thank you guys for that.
And I know that we are across the board for all employees. I know that, out there you hear that only for certain employees, but I know that this board and this administration and this superintendent and everyone here is pushing for all employees equally across the board, and anything that we can do in our part, we're the first one there on the front line. So anything we can help you with, thank you so much again. And anyone else, guys, any other board member that wants to say something?
Mr. Salinas, you said it well. Just a very special thank you to Mr. Cortez for bringing it forward. I'm sure that a lot of people will be very appreciative. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. B. And I don't know, Dr. Sines, you want to tell them what we're doing today at 2? You want me to bring that up?
Yes, at 2 o'clock, we are meeting with, Region 1 superintendents are having a meeting along with Mr. Cortez. And I think it's a very good step forward. And I want to thank Mr. Cortez for that opportunity, that as a regional group of districts, we want to have a regional plan in case we need some more transition time after the Christmas holidays to resume face-to-face instruction, or even to resume bringing our employees back, depending, of course, on what the numbers look like. Right now, I think we're looking at, Mr. Cortez, you told me this morning, at a 15% hospitalization rate. And
as of December 10th, yeah, it was 15.50 in the Rio Grande Valley Hospital region.
Yes. And so all the superintendents will be talking about having one regional plan to resume in January, of course, depending on what that hospitalization rate looks like. In the past, different districts have had different transition plans, and we're going to meet today to talk about the possibility of one regional plan in case we need it in January.
And the thought process behind this is, Mr. Chair, is I got a lot of calls from several colleagues of Dr. Sines and several trustees like yourself in the region that have reached out, asking me to connect with the commissioner, see if he would give more flexibility and more time. As you're aware, we can't control human behavior. And so we don't know how many people are going to congregate on the 24th and the 25th or on the 31st and the 1st. But what we do know is that your public school employees and your kids have to report back to school after that holiday break is over. And the last thing we need is to have a massive outbreak during this holiday season. And then all of your staff has to come back in to have an emergency meeting to create a plan to submit a waiver request to Commissioner Morath in the middle of their holiday. And so after receiving several calls, I just decided it'd be easier to connect everybody in the region and have them do what El Paso did. When El Paso had their outbreak here recently, they submitted a unified waiver request. We know that he's not giving any more time right now under this 15% that we're currently at. And as you all are aware, when he gave those extra 4 weeks, Governor Abbott called that 15% hospital region a danger zone. That's what he called it on his statewide press conference when he referred to the Rio Grande Valley Hospital region, the Laredo Hospital region, and the Victoria Hospital region. Well, we haven't come below that 15%, but they're not giving your school district any more flexibility. So rather than you go and ask on your own, and you'd likely get rejected, if all 40 superintendents came together and said, listen, Commissioner, if we get above 20%, we're asking that you give us at the local level the discretion to make the decisions best appropriate for our local ISD. And so, as if you may be aware or not, the Laredo Hospital region is sitting just slightly above 36.8%. They've been there for a while. The numbers are out of control over there. And so maybe we don't need it. Maybe we do, sir. I don't know. But because we don't have a crystal ball, it's better that we ask as a region and take a regional plan. And if we need it, Dr. Sines can pull it out of her back pocket, send out an email and say, we're virtual learning for the first week. And if he says no, then you're giving me and other legislators in the area an opportunity to come in and fight with the commissioner to get him to see reason to what is happening. And so your superintendent will be on a Zoom call with me and hopefully every other educational leader in the region. And hopefully we can get a consensus and send out one letter sending one waiver request that we may or may not need. And some districts, if we get it approved, may or may not use. If you're in a rural community and you don't need it, you don't have to use it. But if you do need it, then use it. And so we're hoping for a consensus today, and we're hoping that the regional approach is taken and approved by the Commissioner of Education before you all leave for holiday break. We're hoping that today they decide, and by Wednesday we submit it, and we're hoping that by Friday I can get us an answer.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Cortez, for everything. And do know, Dr. Sines, that I know that every member of the school here, if it needs that we need to have another meeting, even if it's during the break holiday, I know that we can take some time and do it from home and anything that needs to be brought to us. And thank you for everything you do, that we can come as a board and make a decision for the betterment. And I think that 15% is way too high, not to wait for 20, even worse. So thank you again, Mr. Cortez. And if we don't see each other, happy holidays and stay safe out there. Anyone else, guys? Anyone else?
Thank you, Mr. Cortez.
God bless you guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. With that being said, I need a motion for adjournment, guys. A motion and a second.
Second.
All righty, meeting is adjourned. Guys, you all stay safe out there.
Safe, guys. Safe.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.